have to create. Like if I'm not creating, I'm not happy.
You like what you say, can you handle it? You want a video made?
Hi, I'm Pierre and I'm a bad influencer. It feels so good to finally get that off my chest because sometimes I really feel that way. But I've been doing content creation full time for 4 years now, and I've been on TikTok and socials for over 6 years. But something about this year feels different. Like I really want to show more of who I am. I want y'all to get into the lore. I want to be more open. But I think that starts with figuring out how I got here and how I approach social media altogether. So the biggest factor in how I show up online or my social media presence, I think is tied to how I grew up. My parents would always tell me growing up, like, don't post too much online, like be mindful of what you share because it lives on the internet forever. And I think that instilled in me actually some fear. Like I'm scared of the internet a little bit. There's a dark side, but the internet has gotten me so many amazing things. So I do want to appreciate it and also just appreciate my audience a bit more. And I think that plus growing up on Tumblr kind of gave me like this sense of like mystique. So if you know, like the girls on Tumblr tend to be very mysterious and low key, like with short captions, just very obscure, like anti-trends. And I feel like that also influenced how I decided to kind of show up online. I call this being niche. I started on TikTok back in 2020 and being niche actually was a good thing. Like being specific about how you show up online and your aesthetic really helped people to subscribe to your identity. But now I think that hyper specific POV is how you build an audience. I never really like publicly sharing every detail of my life, like even with my friends sometimes, because I always thought the mundane wasn't something worth sharing. I wouldn't just share something that I loved or like something that I worked on or share a piece of my creativity, not like a random thing that I ate on a Tuesday. But I want to be a better storyteller and I realized there's beauty in the details. And that made me think, okay, I might be a bad lifestyle influencer, quote unquote. That doesn't make me a bad creator. But that made me think maybe there's a way I can approach my content that allows you to grow with me, but also protect my safety and privacy. I've been the type of creator where I can show you better than I can tell you. I can come up with a cool creative idea, do some art direction or creative direction, put some glam on, pull a look together. Like image has always been the core of my work, but image isn't everything. Like I can show you a cool look or a fab outfit, but at the end of the day, how will you know me if that's all I'm giving you? So let's talk about dating. I am not looking forward to this because in my 4 years of doing this full time, I have never mentioned a man. Never mentioned the dates I've been on, the gifts I received, the romance, none of that. I've never mentioned that because that was always a boundary that I set for myself early on. Like I told myself I would not talk about love or just allow myself to get there online. This is like a portfolio for me. Like I want to show like my creative visuals. I want to show like my ideas. I want to just show, my mind and not my heart, if that makes sense. And my goal has always and will forever be to help others tap into their creativity. And I do have a psych degree, so after doing some research, I learned that this is called digital minimalism. It's a way for me to set boundaries in my mind that is constantly being stimulated by content. I'm chronically online, so I dealt with burnout, and this is kind of how I stay balanced. Like if I don't share too much or consume too much, I can stay balanced. But also that's not how we connect. If you know me, I'm a bad texter and I don't want that to be my MO anymore. Like I don't want people to know like, oh, Pierre is not going to text me back. But that also trickles into my audience and my content. Like I'm a bad commenter. Like I don't comment right away. Even my manager is like, girl, like get the comments out. You have to engage with your audience. And I've learned that I do have some toxic communication habits that affect how I connect with you and with people that I love in my day-to-day life. And now that I psychoanalyzed myself and really understood how I show up online, it actually made me think of more questions like, am I authentic? Am I relatable? Like those buzzwords we hear online that actually hurt more than help you. But it made me think more about the ideal scenario for me as a creative. Like I still want to kind of show parts of my process and my art. Now I know I do want to approach my content and my social media presence differently. I don't want to say better, just different in a way that, allows us to grow together and allows us to have more discussion, more interactions, and just more community. It's still my social media, so I'm going to do what I want. And I'm still going to, of course, respect my boundaries, but I still want to, of course, open up a little bit more. Like, what does that mean? I think that means for me this, like us talking more on YouTube. Like, I think this will be a place for my video essays, my ideas, basically a piece of my Substack, which I'll talk more about. I feel like I'm going to do like this plus a Substack so you guys can kind of read more about my thoughts and my ideas and my notions. And then also my work. I want to show more short films on here, maybe a feature one day. Like, I just want to leave this place as like the core of my artwork and the core of my creativity right now as a filmmaker. I feel like my weirdness is coming back, and that's a good thing. Like I feel like I'm a weird girl that was socialized online to be a cool girl. Like I love all the labels people give me, but at the end of the day, I want to get back to myself. I just want this to be like a place where I can just kind of throw things to the wall and see where they land and kind of like be okay with experimenting again and having fun with content and not being so tied to like what I'm known for, what I do, brands you should know. That is cool and it was cool for a while and I will continue to do some version of that. But I feel like I kind of want to minimize that kind of content and maximize my more creative and narrative kind of ideas. So with that being said, if you made it this far and if you actually have watched this minute, thank you so much. I love you so much. For what's in store, I don't know yet, but I think I have a good idea of what it's going to look like and I think it's going to be fun. So I will see you in the next video. Bye.